ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the EU University Rocket League podcast, and I'm here joined by Hemi. Of course, Hemi, it's been quite a while since we've been here. How have you been?
I'm not doing too bad, to be fair. I mean, you just get on with life. Things are starting to open back up again. Usual shizzle. I had an amazing experience a couple of days ago. I got to finally meet up in person with Joel of Bath Rocket League rep fame.
Whoa!
And what a man, honestly. It's like the sort of like when you sculpt gods and stuff like back in ancient Greece, they would use like a model.
Yes.
It's like imagine that, except like better than the sculptures. A pure Adonis of a human being. That was what I saw in that man.
He's holding a bunch of grapes with like a leaf covering. Sorry, you've planted this image in my mind and I can't get rid of it now.
Anyways, how do you...
Yes, okay, actually maybe less we talk about that, the better. I'm not doing too bad. It's been very exciting in the land of University Rocket League. I mean, we've had the NSE finals already. I mean, still quite settling in, just that Bournemouth did win 5 games in a row to almost humiliate poor Salford. It's been pretty exciting, I'm going to be honest. When I go to bed at night, I do think about EURC. It's kind of, maybe, sometimes. Not often, but from time to time. Yeah, maybe,
Yeah, it's like those sort of like the overarching, there's those cycles. Like every year, you'll play the same game like at least once.
True.
In that 1 year, because you sort of go off it a bit and you come back to it.
This
is what URC is to everyone. It's sort of like the warm sort of it's time for URC. You get to enjoy that now.
Exactly. I mean, I think actually, I think you've summed it up perfectly there. But unfortunately, you have reminded me of the fact that EURC Sunday is this very Sunday. It's pretty damn important, and I feel like the people probably need information about it, right? They probably need to make this a very professional sounding podcast. Do we have to prepare a newsreel or something?
I think I need this information more than anyone else, but I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay, shall we go into? Shall we pretend that this part doesn't exist and we'll go straight into a newsreel?
I mean, we can just add on top.
Yeah, no one will notice. All right, let's do that. Okay.
Absolutely no seams whatsoever.
Right, we'll pretend it happens and just.
EUR Nation, I'm your host, Killer Hemi. Let's get right into the news.
Well, the news is in, Killer Hemi, and we've checked all our sources. It turns out EURC really is the coolest and best thing to ever happen to Rocket League, isn't it?
That you are right. 32 university teams from across Europe narrowed down to just 6. Fighting over the £1,200 prize pot this Sunday, the 25th of April. We will be the focus. Oh, no, not we will, but this will be the focus of a special episode. So why don't you recap the tournament so far for those who may not have watched or, have forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a special tournament that we're going to have to make this podcast episode just about it, because what a tournament. It's been starting just at the group stage as well. That's 4 groups of 8 teams, where, of course, the top 5 made it into the playoff stage, but only the top 3 made the upper bracket. So, top of the group, they got a bye to the upper quarterfinals. Pretty cool. Yeah, I heard what you said there. Pretty cool indeed. And starting with Group A, of course, we'll bring that up there. And, well, we can't really talk about Group A, can we, without talking about the tournament favourites, Berlin Phoenix, going 7-0, dropping just a singular game.
Well, the question is, on everyone's lips, is there anyone capable of stopping them?
I mean, Hemi, I'm not really sure. It's a bit of a difficult question, but I mean, it was a great group for the German universities as a whole. FHDW came into the competition as the lowest seeded of the German teams, and yet they managed to get second in the group thanks to big wins over Kiel and York. Speaking of those British universities, there was a bizarre 3-way tie on exactly +2 game differential, which unfortunately for Tilburg, who lost out on both the head-to-head cases, meant that they'd be in 5th and they'd be in that group, joining York in the lower bracket.
And how do we feel about UWE? I'm surprised they didn't make it to the playoff despite doing so well domestically here in NSE.
Yeah, they really did do well domestically, you're right. I think it's fair to say that was surprising. It's just their loss to York and then the Game 5 against Tilburg really just hurt them too much. And I also feel bad for the NUIG Griffins as well. They came in as the number 2 from Ireland, but sadly just failed to impress enough outside of taking that game off Berlin Phoenix, which apparently they only did, according to Quint, because NUIG asked for that game nicely.
Just like them. How strange, though. And as we move into Group B, you'll begin to notice a trend of the Polish universities struggling at the bottom of the standings, I believe.
Yeah, that is unfortunately so. Poland went 1-84, Hemi, across their 4 respective universities in the competition. That is not the best publicity. I think it's fair. We can certainly say that. But, always got to say there's room for growth. And, well, you could also look harshly on PXL, who came out of Belgium, but to be fair, it's easy to forget in their case that they actually had, some great Game 5 series that they just unfortunately lost. Those were against Rotterdam and the Leeds Beckett Bears.
That's true. And Sapienza Roma, excuse me, my terrible accent coming through there, who came through as the wild card league as our only Italian team. Sadly missed out too, but you mentioned Beckett Bears. What group stage that was for them.
Yeah, I mean, the 6-1 record is just honestly fantastic. I mean, Dusseldorf also looked good, but sadly their main memory will probably be getting reverse swept at the hands of Erasmus Esports Rotterdam. I think we'll all remember that series. I mean, on another note, Essex, they showed up strong. They got 4th, with that Game 5 win over Loughborough, who they had to be disappointed, I think, coming into the tournament as reigning UK champions at the time. That 5th place, yeah, that lined them up with quite the difficult lower bracket tie against 4th from Group D.
Now, okay, hold on a second. We can't skip to Group
Okay, sorry.
Let's backtrack a second to Group C. I want to know how the Martinis topped the group at 5-2 and how UEA, the silver medalist in UK's NSE Winter, ended up in 7th.
Yeah, the Groningen Martinis really showed why they came in having topped the Dutch division, but you're right, crazy that they did top at 5-2. I guess it's just the consistent performances all the way. I mean, Stuttgart did similar and they would have got second if not for Bournemouth, who, to be fair, for everyone really just sort of throwed a spanner in the works. You could say Bournemouth should have topped Group C, but those couple series that they played with their subs, like I say, really sort of confused the standings. And, well, TUD Apes and ULB, they rounded out the lower bracket spots quite nicely in terms of diverse there, both for Ireland and Belgium respectively. But yeah, UEA, it just really wasn't their season, was it? Here in Europe or domestically. I think in both cases Bournemouth kind of just screwed them over.
All right, I see. But I also see that over in Group D, now we can finally move on to Group D because we just covered Group C. That's a good thing because we have, this keeps that continuity. We finally have or had a British team top the group. Like, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's fair play to the Portsmouth Paladins, like in what ended up looking like quite a top-heavy group. I mean, both the Basilisks and the Mojitos as well from Groningen showing up and looking sharp. It meant that Salford were sadly the only team in the entire competition to manage to go 5-2 in groups, and yet they had to start in the lower bracket of playoffs. You can guess who they had to face off against. I mean, meanwhile, Esports Team 20, they also managed to sneak through despite their negative record, 3-4, and their negative game difference, mainly because of that Game 5 win over the Birmingham Badgers. And, well, the Birmingham Badgers, they couldn't seem to win in overtime to save their lives, and yet they were the only team to manage to beat Portsmouth, and that was just the bizarre group for them in general. I mean, Jyväskylä, they were the other qualifier from the Wildcard League. They came out of Finland, of course, but they sadly rounded out kind of getting a little bit outclassed, and really, that rounds up the group stage, Hemi.
Well, thank you, but did I hear you say playoffs?
Maybe.
God, this script is rubbish. It's like a bit of play. Getting back to the character. They've been happening over the past few weeks and quite some incredible series we've had, right?
Yeah, I mean, starting in the upper bracket, we first saw just how much the Basilisks were here to play, with them winning 4 on the bounce to take down the Dusseldorf Gaming Dragons before they, went back and forth against the Group C topping Martinis to get quite the run going. I mean, and in similar fashion, the Beckett Bears shut out the Mojitos in 3 of the 4 wins they found, but their fairy tale run kind of got smacked in the face pretty hard by reality in the quarterfinals by Berlin Phoenix.
Yes, Tylacto. I got to sum it up there. But I also see some surprising results here. FHDW, I almost messed that up. FHDW beating Engine Stuttgart in Game 7, and Portsmouth getting a forfeit win over Bournemouth. How did those happen?
It's lovely you should ask about those 2 particular things. Adgo's, you would probably say, and most would probably say, was probably the Stuttgart's standout player. That he managed to he managed to get himself banned in Rocket League, and with their sub required, I mean, Bournemouth didn't want to be outdone. They decided they couldn't even field the roster altogether in the quarterfinals, despite their crazy Game 7 series the previous round against the Kiel Krakens.
Well, if that's the case, I'm worried what might be to come. I mean, I also see that Berlin Phoenix continued their stroll to the winners' finals, but Portsmouth came out victors in a 7-game semi-final against Rotterdam, where in only one of those games did both teams score once. Much strangeness and many clean sheets, but we should also recap the bloodbath that is the lower bracket so far.
I think bloodbath is the perfect word. I'll have to introduce you to playoff Tilburg United. They looked absolutely battle-born, knocking Ireland's last hope, the TUD Apes, just straight out. No, the Mojitos, they knocked them straight out as well, both in sweeps. But then, to be fair, they got themselves knocked out, but they pushed the Bournemouth Barracudas all the way to Game 7.
A feat that it shouldn't be taken lightly, especially if they actually have a roster to field.
Yes, true.
Well, I see ULB were Belgium's last chance, but they managed to eliminate both York and Dusseldorf before going down to FHDW, who I think can certainly go home happy with a top 8 finish.
Yeah, top 8, they certainly can. It's a great showing from them, and I hope they're proud of it. But I do know that the Loughborough Lions probably won't be proud of their performance this tournament. Unfortunately, it's not the first time they fell to the Salford Lions, but I think it's fair to say they just shot themselves in the foot too many times. Salford themselves, though, looking hot right now. That's 4 series on the trot, and no one will want to have to play against them. They even ended the Beckett Bears run, who they themselves had just finished off the Essex Blades. And really, Hemi, that should be us all caught up to the action ahead of Championship Sunday, with just the 6 universities left. You know, if only there was some good Welsh universities, right?
Well, it seems my very funny co-cast has gone on a little adventure, so let's see where he's ended up.
Oh, there it is. Oh, right. Hello. Yes. Hemi, thank you for my field work as a roaming reporter. I'm a little bit out of breath, but I've travelled here to Durham Cathedral, where I've found one of the Durham Defenders players, Zouch, here, praying at the altar by the looks of it, for Durham to hopefully not be a disappointment domestically. And well, okay, that being said, Zouch, how frustrating was this season not qualifying initially into the National League, with the expectations perhaps that came in on your shoulders going into NSC? But then, how much of a redemption was it for you to qualify into EURC?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me, and thank you for visiting me here in this holy place with statues of Kronovi and Kuxir in the background of this temple of Rocket League. Mainly losing in Rocket League, but that's okay.
Yes.
I don't really know where those expectations for getting into the International League really came from. We were only, I would say, in proper contention for being a top team when Will was playing with us. But in terms of the mechanics of failing to qualify for National League, we weren't really expecting 100% to anyway. But also, the reason we didn't is because we played Watt Wyverns in one of the matches, I believe. I mean, obviously, we lost when we should have won pretty much countless times in general, but Watt Wyverns had a pretty bad seed. Nobody knew that they were actually very, very good in comparison to a lot of teams. So, I mean, that's practically why we didn't. The real reason is that we're bad, but I mean, just the actual at the time reason was that. And yeah, it's a bit of a broader issue. The thing that separates good teams from bad teams really is not losing to the randomers, and we are exceptionally good at losing to the randomers.
That's quite a profound thought here in this place of worship. Is that the enlightenment that you've come to?
Indeed, years of careful meditation and reflection have led me to the conclusion that it's better to win than lose.
That's incredible.
Yes, profound insights in this holy place. But generally, as you allude to, EURC qualification, I suppose you could see as a bit of redemption. I think it was a good performance from us, and it was compounded by having a very, very favourable bracket in terms of which teams befell us in the lower side. We could easily have, if we'd gone a bit further and then lost, we would have had to play, I think it's like Salford or something to have qualified.
I mean,
So
that's fair.
we got very lucky, but we did play well-ish on the day.
I mean, I feel like you're not really doing yourself enough justice here, Zouch. I mean, maybe Durham are just so used to being pessimistic now, but to be fair, regardless of how you qualified, but it certainly, you made it look like you deserved to be there when you were, because we may be all eyes on finals day Sunday now, but casting our mind back to the group stage of the competitions, Ouch, you guys in that group C looked so good, and at one point looked almost certain to make the playoffs, but those couple game 5, certainly the final round against Engine Stuttgart, they were painful to see. Are you upset about those and the way that they happened, or are you simply proud to have put up the solid performance?
Well, yeah, I don't think we had any particular expectations of qualifying. We knew it was theoretically possible, but Group C ended up just being a complete clown fiesta of substitutions. I think that's what the C stands for, actually. It's just complete clown fiesta. The reason we didn't make it through in the end was because, you know, Cloud was randomly swanning off in the middle of series and missing random ones, and RW Dragon was subbing in for Bournemouth, and Stuttgart had to put in a sub at some point. So, I mean, it was just all over the place, to be honest. But that is also kind of a consequence of UEA tanking extremely hard. But I think we benefited from TUD8 perhaps had a sub when we played them. So it was just all over the place. The top teams, I think, had no subs been used at any point, Stuttgart and Bournemouth would have easily locked their position first and second. But we were certainly helped by UEA kind of attempting to formally transition into a recycling plant because of how much they were bottle merchants in that group. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the less we say about UEA, the better. Now, I don't want to disturb your worship too much here in the cathedral, but I see on your hymn sheet there you have your predictions for this championship Sunday. Do you mind running us through the results and why you're going to be 100% correct on that timeline?
Okay, with pleasure. So,
thank you.
My thoughts are thus. We'll start in the lowers. In lowers, Berlin loses to Bournemouth, Game 7. I don't really know much about Berlin Basilisks. That is a bit of
It's
ignorance there, but they might pull through. Who knows? Erasmus 4-3 Salford. Who's playing on Salford? Reminder.
It will be Aaron in place of Arton, I believe.
Ooh, okay. In that case, that might change. But Erasmus are a very solid squad, so I think that is the one that could go either way. I'm having Erasmus go through 4-3. Then we go to the lowers round of 4. Bournemouth beats Erasmus 4-3. Very close game, but they clutch it. Now, upper final. Berlin 4-1 Portsmouth, easy. I think Berlin and Portsmouth are basically like the same team, if you think about the skill differential. And what I mean by that is...
2-star players?
2-star players and one worse player, not as good player.
Yeah.
Although still good. The third on both teams are both very good. But kind of Tigre's better than Mercy, and Naglo's a bit better than Psycho, and the third's a bit better. So I think they should just win, but who knows on the day. Portsmouth are a great team, they could pop.
That sounds fair.
So that takes us to lower finals. I think Bournemouth beat Portsmouth 4-2. Bournemouth just start, demoing, freestyling, pre-jumping. It just works out. I've divined that from the scented candles in the cathedral or something. I don't really know where that's from, but there you go. Grand finals 4-2 to Bournemouth to Berlin. To Berlin, easy.
Oh, okay. That was a little slip of the tongue there.
A little bit, but maybe that's kind of some spiritual voice trying to come through, and Bournemouth are actually going to take it. But no, I think Berlin favourites to win. Obviously, it's not a revelation.
That's fair enough. I could easily see you being absolutely spot on. Is there any prophecies in terms of the return of the Durham Defenders in the NSE stay-at-home series? Are we going to continue to see your redemption there?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think one day we may be good, but that day is not today. We shall see.
Oh, good. Well, thank you very much, Souch, for letting us join you in the cathedral here, and I hope your worship and the rest of your days here go fantastic.
Thank you very much. Amen.
Okay, Hemi, back to you.
Amen, brother. We now swiftly move on to the seaside city of Portsmouth, where my lovely and sexy assistant has pulled up on shore to find a special guest.
Yes, thank you very much, Hemi. I'm actually down here in Portsmouth. I found a very special guest on this fine sunny day, believe it or not, and it's, of course, from the British team, currently sat up in what most people call heaven and what we commonly call the winners' final of EURC. It's Ryko of the Portsmouth Paladins. How are you doing on this fine day? You're looking fantastic. And how has this split been for you, playing in both NSE and EURC?
Well, thank you. You're looking fantastic yourself. NSE's been pretty great. It was my first time being in nationals, apart from one time I subbed for the A team like last season. Mm-hmm. But it's been great to play all these games at like the highest level in Uni Rocket League, and it's like every team we come up against, I'm always like to Psycho Mercy, I'm always like, oh, they're really good, and it's just like, yeah, every team is really good up here. Yeah, and in EURC, it's honestly been the same. I'm just loving playing like at this higher level.
No, I mean that's fantastic. I mean, I'm glad you're enjoying. Unfortunately, of course, NSE didn't necessarily go your way in sort of the most potential. I feel like most didn't see you dropping out so soon to UWE after that crazy series in uppers against Salford. And you know, in hard series like that, is it hard to keep your confidence up, I should say. Sorry, you know, the heat of the Portsmouth Sun getting to me there. You know, when you're often, I think, labelled, I think it's fair to say, as what people say the weak point of the team, which is no fault of your own. You know, your teammates very, very good, of course, but more so, do you feel like that disappointment domestically sort of motivated you to perform on the European stage? Because really, all tournament long so far, at least, you've looked like the best us British have to offer.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. With my teammates being Psycho and Mercy, they're like really insane players. So it's hard for me to keep up with them. And like generally, I'm not as confident as a player because most of the mistakes I make are mechanical anyway. But with both of them backing me up, it's really easy to keep my head up during a series. Like most of the time, I'll mess up and I'll just start apologizing or saying my bad, and they'll often like critique the whole play as like themselves as well as me. And I think that helps me keep my confidence as well. Nice. And then, I mean, we also weren't expecting us to end NSC as we did. When we were in uppers against Salford, we knew that we were one of the only teams, if not the only team, that beat them during league play. And like in uppers, we were like, okay, we can do this, we can win. I know they've got first, but we can do it. And then we were honestly kind of shocked when we lost them, but they played absolutely amazing. And then when we played UWE, like they also played really good. Especially, I think we had lost to UWE in the last week of NSC as well. So I was still had my guard up on them, but they played great both times. And then from that in NSC, it definitely motivated us to perform in EURC, because literally as soon as we lost in NSC, we were just like, okay, well the last thing we've got is EURC. Let's prove that we're one of the top UK teams. Yeah. And I think we've done well in that. I mean, I will say we have been a bit shaky at times in EURC, but we've been able to clutch up as well, like that Erasmus series the other day. But it's going well for us in EURC.
No, that's good. I mean, I feel like you said you've looked shaky. At the end of the day, you're still topped Group D, and I've got to really commend you on that. You've been consistent throughout the tournament, and what a series that was against Rotterdam, going all the way to 7. Like, I mean, how nervous were you during that semi-final? Has got to be crazy, right?
Insanely. I was insanely nervous because I think they had won a couple of games and we won one and started to bring it back, and it was like, I think it was either 3-1 or 3-2 to them, and we were like, we just sat there the whole time just talking about what we need to do. We were like, okay, they're playing fast. If we play really defensive, then they'll give us the ball and then we'll get an offense off. And I think it was so scary to be put in that position, but we knew it was going to work because our defense is usually our strong suit. So I think that really paid off.
I mean, that's great. And of course, I can see you've got there. I don't want to keep too much of your time. You've got your lunch. You want to give you time to go eat that, of course. But I also see, if I see that right, that you've also got in your hands an EURC Finals Day prediction bracket. Would you like to go into detail and explain what results you've got there and why you think that they'll be the case this Sunday?
Yeah. I was actually filling it out and running it over to Psycho. You caught me on the way. But firstly, well, let's start off in uppers. I think the uppers finals. I do think we'll lose the upper finals. Obviously, ideally we win the whole thing. Like that's obviously best case scenario.
Our sources do say that maybe Nagflow won't be available for Berlin Phoenix, and that may give you an extra window to the grand final. I don't know if that changes your confidence about things. I can't confirm it, but I do know that it is a great possibility.
Well, I think even if that happens, I'd like to keep my predictions the same, just in case, because I don't know how good their sub is, and obviously it could be really good.
That's fair.
But yeah, I still have us to lose the upper finals. I mean, Berlin Phoenix, with or without Nagflow, could have a stacked team. With Nagflow, they obviously have a stacked team as well. And it'll be our first series of the day, so I reckon we'll lose and then go into losers finals. And then from there in lowers, it's really tough predicting this lower bracket. It looks so scary. Like there are so many good teams and so many teams that I personally just want to make it through. They're all in losers. Like Berlin Basilisk, they were in our group. I really like their team, Moki and Yato as well.
Yeah.
Bournemouth, we haven't actually played them much this season, but I love them as a team as well. I think they play really well. Salford as well, same. And Erasmus, obviously that close series the other day. I think anyone can take it. But I predicted Bournemouth to be over the Basilisk in Game 7 as well.
You've got a lot of Game 7s there.
I do. It's so hard. I'm so indecisive when it comes to predicting, so I'm just like, I think they take it, but barely. But yeah, I think Bournemouth will take it over the Basilisk, and I think Erasmus will beat Salford. I mean, I know Salford came first in NC, like in the table of league play, but I think Erasmus, just the way they played against us, I think it will work well against Salford, even though like they are very consistent.
Okay, no, I respect that. That's fair. And you've got the Battle of the South in the lower finals there. You say you don't get to play Bournemouth often. You say you'd like to get that rematch then? Of course, that would be 2 out of the top 3 being from the UK.
Yeah, I think the Bournemouth Erasmus series will be especially one to watch. I think that will be a very exciting series. But I think Bournemouth will take it, and then the Battle of the South in the losers finals. I think I really wanted. I think I speak for Psycho and Mercy when I say this, but we really wanted to play Bournemouth in uppers, like regardless whether we'd won or lost. Like we were literally all looking forward to that game because we hadn't played them since Society Showdown. And it was, and we just really wanted to play. And then on the day when we got the news that they weren't going to be able to play, we were actually like, obviously we were happy that we went through, but it was kind of like disappointing. Like we were very ready to play, so it was kind of sad. But I think that'll be a really fun match to play and a fun match to watch as well. Obviously, put it as Game 7 because
all the Game
it's
7.
going to be close.
And the grand final as well. You've got a full roster Berlin Phoenix that you're going to force to Game 7. Is that just for the standard across the board, all Game 7s, or do you think you're sort of getting really hopeful with that one?
I think with that one, I am getting hopeful, but obviously not too hopeful because if I really wanted to, I could put us to win a grand final reset. But I'd like to see us, if they are full roster, I'd like to see us put up a fight in either winners finals or grand finals.
Okay, I mean, that's fair enough. I am getting word from our host, Hemi, that maybe the COVID police are realising that I'm breaking restrictions by being here in Portsmouth, TJ, so I'm going to have to run back to the studio. Thank you very much for this interview, and of course, I wish you the best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you. Have fun.
Thank you very much. I'm on my bike.
You know, I keep forgetting you can do that, but you know, it must get cold once he gets that high in the air. Speaking of high in the air and cold, we now move to Salford, where I believe Tylactos found a secret nuclear bunker inside a special guest.
Thank you very much, Hemi. Yes, I now find myself... I'm not entirely sure where, but I think I'm in a bunker in Salford. Yes, this has to be Salford, where I've been told that the best stream producer in Rocket League is in hiding. And I'm also told he's an avid member and fan of Salford University, a fan, of course, of the Salford Lions. And here he is. How are you doing, Kizza? How long have you lived down here in this Salford bunker? And have you emotionally recovered from Salford losing in the grand finals of both UK Championships, NSE and Newell?
Well, the thing is, there is probably a bounty out for my head due to these losses, hence why the bunker. So down here, it's very safe, it's very cozy. Internet could be better, but still, it's good enough for streaming. It's a stable connection. But yeah, as for the lads, They've definitely recovered. I don't think it actually hurt them as much as people are making it out to be, as I think with Aaron's interview when he was in EURC being interviewed naturally, he did point out that we didn't really take them probably as serious as we should have. Like, Newell more than NSC. NSC was more of a case of we weren't playing at our best. Bournemouth were 100% playing the best we've ever seen them play, so naturally we got slapped around a bit there. But as for Newell, we definitely should have done a lot better there. I'm probably going to throw a bit of shade towards him, but Aaron, I do think, gave up partway through, as he did start to mess around, as I was watching from my production bunker, as it just didn't feel the same sort of game after, I think, about game 3, where where Loughborough started to come back quite strong. So, hopefully that mentality doesn't appear this time round, as Aaron is in fact stepping in for Arton.
Yes. It seems like an almost permanent move for EURC. Aaron really showing up here in EURC playoffs.
Very much so. It does feel like he is, I don't want to say slept upon. People know he's a good player, but because people have seen Jiggy, Arton, and Camo as a trio do so well in NSC, that when Aaron comes in, it's kind of, the synergy might be thrown off a bit, all that sort of thing. But it feels like people have forgotten that Camo and Aaron have played a lot before that. Like, they had an entire year where they played together and they did really, really well. They made third in a previous season with who was it? I'm remembering names.
Rosters have been.
We've had many.
It's okay. I was curious what it's like producing competitions such as NSC and EURC, and are you looking forward to producing on Grand Finals Sunday? And just in general, how stressful is it watching Salford while producing, given that they were, unfortunate to start in lower bracket following their 5-2 record in groups, but now they're on a 4-series win streak in the lower bracket.
So for a start with, when it comes to coming from production, yes, I am massively looking forward to doing EURC this Sunday. When it comes to producing Salford, it's different to watching anything else, because when you watch, it's just like watching RLCS. If one of your favorite teams isn't playing, you're more intrigued about who they could come up against. And because Salford are one of those teams that is capable of getting all the way to through to the final, as they showed in both NSC and Newell. That's kind of where I sit now when it comes to watching. So I will nearly watch every single game, not just out of like being a fan of the scene, but to see where Salford could lay at the end of the day, because we do have teams that can kind of counter our play style. We've been notoriously, I don't want to, do I say consistent this time around, depending how the finals went? But still, we were very, very consistent in group plays, which is kind of why we managed to get first placed in the end. It's just, again, when it comes to needing to show up at the end of the day, I don't think we take it seriously enough, which when watching them play from my production end, it's nerve-wracking.
It's a very nervous bunker.
Oh, yes, it becomes a very, very sweaty bunker. Because I'm watching them start off playing very well, like throwing back to when we got reverse swept by Loughborough. I was producing that. I was so hyped. Like, we got to game 4 and I was there like, we have such a good chance of going to the finals. LAN finals, when LANs were a thing. And naturally, reverse swept happened, and my heart sank.
You got revenge on Loughborough.
Oh, we did.
And I mean, in terms of Salford's season this time around, to be fair, I think it's been their best so far to date, despite those grand final results domestically. Do you feel like the players themselves will judge it, the season to be a success or not, based on how well they do on this EURC Championship Sunday? And on that note, what other teams do you think might have overperformed and even ones, say, underperformed?
So I think the lads are going to take this already with their positioning within EURC as a huge positive.
Yeah.
Because not only we haven't really had a consistent 3-man roster, the fact that we have 4 players that are all massively capable and that all pretty much have good synergy straight away is huge. I think if we were going to take anything away from this EURC, it would be, I guess, how serious we should take competitions. Because as much as, yes, the synergy's natural and how good the players are comes quite naturally to all of them, if we do start to try a little harder, I'm more than confident that those final losses that we against Loughborough and Bournemouth will pretty much vanish. Like they'll go away. I wouldn't even be surprised, depending on who starts to appear within the university scene, because our NSC roster is all staying. Aaron's the only one out of the main roster, or the main 4, I guess, that is leaving this year. We could potentially have a bit of a Portsmouth season, so we could run away with it. Again, it depends on who turns up, and I guess the other one is if Bournemouth actually keep all 3 they may be a bit flaky with their rosters, which was very unusual to watch. But in terms of teams underperforming, overperforming, all that sort of things, Bournemouth, I think, have somehow managed to do both. Because they've had parts where they have hugely underperformed. Like, they should have done so much better. But that's mainly due to the fact that their roster hasn't really appeared. But the thing is, when their roster does appear, they, more times than don't, completely trash the teams, which it's an overperformance for them, because they can get cocky at times, which then they start to get a bit too comfortable in the game. They start to spin around a bit more. And I didn't get to watch it, but the game against Loughborough in Newell, where they actually lost with their main roster, then I think that was more of a case of they got a bit too comfortable and egos were flexed maybe a bit too much. But hopefully, if that doesn't happen and their head stays stable for EURC, they should pretty easily take down Berlin, which Basilisks this is, I should say.
Yes.
They have been performing beyond what I thought, because we had a bit of an annoyance with the teams not submitting anything. But when Salford played them, as
I remember, yes,
that was a bit of a pain. It felt like they weren't too big of a threat initially. Because at that point when we were playing them, I think it was first or second week. I think it kind of bled into second.
Yeah,
it bled into second because of how long it took us to get the game data.
That is true. Yes, it did.
So the fact that it felt comfortable against them. We didn't really feel like we had to force too much performance out of them to beat them. They weren't really on the radar too much. They were there, they were known, but they weren't really thrown under massive threat. The fact that they went on to be one of two teams that have taken a game off of Berlin Phoenix, I think has probably sparked something in the lads, because they also managed to knock us down into the lowers, because their game at the end of the bracket stage was the reason that we went down.
Yes, it was.
Even though we still have 5-2.
Yeah, Birmingham didn't do you a favour either.
No.
You were a bit unfortunate in that way. But, I mean, you're spot on in terms of the scariness of teams that could come out, both out of Bournemouth and Basilisk. But speaking of scary games and predictions for Sunday, your first game, the Salford Lions, they've got quite a difficult one right out of the gates. Erasmus Esports Rotterdam. I mean, I see on one of your desks over there's plenty of computers around here, but I believe you've got your prediction bracket there. How do you see that series and the rest of them on Sunday going?
So the way the way I've looked at it, I've kind of seen our game, at least. It was a hard one to predict because Erasmus have, I don't want to say been on off. They've always been spoken about being not amazing. They've always been a bit of an underdog, and the fact that they got so far in the upper bracket was a bit amazing on that half. I don't think does them particular justice, because I do think, and I do remember them being very, very strong. For example, last EURC, they were the team that knocked out Portsmouth Paladins, and this was Portsmouth back in their prime when they were huge.
They then went on to win it as well against a weakened Berlin Phoenix.
Oh yeah, exactly. So the fact that people have been saying Erasmus is a bit they probably shouldn't be here, that's just not true. Erasmus is a very, very capable team. However, the fact that Portsmouth, although it was a very, very close series, managed to beat them, makes me believe that there's something lacking within them. I'm not sure what, but it doesn't feel like it's the same Erasmus from last EURC. So it's like there's a bullet in their foot or something. So
I mean, they don't have Wizard anymore, to be fair. It has changed, but this is how you're trying to justify that you think Salford are going to win in Game 7?
Yes. If the lads come through and they are playing their normal consistency, Salford should take this.
Okay.
Now, that's not even me trying to be a fanboy side. Naturally, as the fanboy, I would say Salford would win hands down. But I'm trying, it's almost like I'm trying to do this to calm the nature of the lads, because I want them to actually properly try now. Because if they do try, they should take this. If they take this a bit loosey-goosey, things will go south very, very quickly, because Erasmus, when we've been watching them, they have incredible link-up plays in the midfield. They pass so much, and that is somewhat of a strong point of us as well. I do think that game will come down to who's linking up the best. Both teams have unbelievably strong defense. Individual skill can be a bit lackluster on both ends. We probably do lean over a bit more because we have the likes of Jiggy.
I mean, they have Calio, to be fair.
They do. That's true.
It's just that when the size of the competition has the likes of, Nagflow and Tigray in it, and those people you get compared against, it's kind of difficult. you then have, Salford beating Berlin Basilisk and Portsmouth to get to the grand finals. Now, I can see this happening? I do believe this is a possibility, but is that what you're seeing happening in your dreams each night this week?
Pretty much. The weird game that I think I've put down is the fact that Salford's actually meeting up with Berlin Basilisks in the first place. Because I've put down Basilisks beating Bournemouth. Now, this is like the optimum bracket I think we have. I think if we come against Bournemouth, it will be a very, very painful series. Because if Bournemouth beat Berlin, because I think we mentioned this before, Berlin Basilisks are pretty much a more consistent version of Bournemouth in terms of how they play. However, Bournemouth, when they're peaking, play much better than the Basilisks. So if Bournemouth beat the Basilisks, we are going to have a very difficult series.
Is it going to look a little bit like NSE Grand Finals?
Probably not. Well, I don't think it'll be that extreme because hopefully the Salfords learn their lesson, so they'll try a little harder. But if Bournemouth do beat Berlin, it will be a very, very difficult series. I think the lads will have to be playing almost at their peak. Yeah, if for Bournemouth or to beat Bournemouth. However, if Bournemouth aren't feeling it, Berlin can quite easily take it, I think, which is obviously why I predicted 4-3 to them. So then if Berlin come through, I think we have a much stronger chance of beating Berlin. And then we did lose to Portsmouth, I will admit, in the EURC. However, every game after that, so subsequent, Salford have beaten Portsmouth. So we should be quite comfortable on that. And then naturally the grand finals. It's the Phoenixes. And now, well, as you said before we start this interview, Berlin don't seem to have their full, or might not have their full roster. So I did put in two games for
the upper
Salford.
Finals. Yeah.
Is it just for the upper finals?
Come around, we are suspecting, but of course, I will plan on visiting Quint later today. So I think we may find out that information for sure. And to be fair, on that note, I feel like I've definitely spent way too long in a bunker in Salford, Kizza. I will leave you in the many dreams and computers that you have here of Salford making it to the grand finals, and we will find out on Sunday if they do that very thing. Thank you, Kizza. If you could show me the way out, if there is one, that would be great. Thank you. And Hemi, I'll throw it back to you, and hopefully I'll be okay getting out of here.
You know what? I'm surprised we even got that much coverage. I've been told by many people Kiz's underground bunker is actually surrounded on all sides by 9 meters of pure lead. But the show must go on, and our lovely roaming reporter has moved across the channel.
Yes, thank you, Hemi, though I should probably let you guys know that I have splashed out a bit on the podcast budget, and I've gone from Portsmouth and I've gone a boat over to the Netherlands, and I've hopped off here in Rotterdam, and just by coincidence, I've bumped into Maxio from Erasmus Esports Rotterdam. How are you doing on this fine day? And unfortunately, I kind of have to ask how you are feeling during and how you're feeling after dropping to the lower bracket in that Game 7 semi-final series against Portsmouth.
Yes, thank you. Fancy seeing you here in the beautiful Dutchland. Thank you. Fancy. I'm feeling really good. The Portsmouth game, I mean, I think I played really good. I've been not playing this game a lot lately. I actually quit gaming. I only play a couple of games a week. Okay. But I actually practiced for this specific game, and I actually played 20 hours in the last 2 weeks when that happened. Whoa, yeah, it's a lot. No, but I think it showed during the game, because I think in the first 4 games I was the only one on my team to score.
You were, yeah. I recall this.
Yeah, I think so as well. So I mean, it went really good. We dominated the first game. I think we actually like played insane. And then the second game we lost because of like some unfortunate backboard reads. Those are painful, really painful. But I think if we won that second game, I think we would have like won the game 4-1, the series.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really a struggle because I was the only one to score, and I think it frustrated my teammates because normally Kallio is like our offense and our top striker, and he only scored in game 5, I think, but he scored like 4 goals there. But I would have preferred if he like scored like 2 and then scored like spread them out. But I don't think it's bad if you drop to the lowers. We can play more games and we will warm up for the important matches.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's really good. I'm curious in general how the tournament as a whole has been for you to play, because I mean, on a more positive note, topping Group B, probably what most people would have considered the hardest group, was a great achievement, and I think it's helped you to get this far in the bracket going on to finals day. I mean, what have some of the highlights been for you so far in EURC, and what is it like playing with Onko and Kallio? Certainly when the games are going better and you've got that triple O entertaining offense that we like to see so frequently.
When we saw our group, I wasn't really afraid. Like, I knew some of the players, but I didn't feel like it was like the hardest group.
Confidence.
But I was glad that we topped Group B, because when we checked, I think being number 1 would secure us. Yeah, we had a bye as well, and we would also not play against Berlin in the final. We had to play it the best highlight I think for us was reverse sweeping against Düsseldorf.
Yeah, what a series!
That series was I think like the most fun I've ever had, and we lost the first 2 games like really big. But we were like, okay, let's change our playstyle, and it kind of worked because I think we dominated like game 3 and 4 like 4-0, and we secured the game in game 5 with like a 1-0 win, and then we felt really good, and I think that like if we won that game, I mean like we topped the group. We still lost against the 5th seed, I think, and I don't know how we lost that. We like kind of choked, like we do like every week we choke a game. But we definitely aimed for being first seeds.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. I mean, to be fair, losing to Loughborough, not the most shameful thing. At the end of the day, you don't have to worry because they're no longer in the competition. Less we talk about them, the better. They've disappointed the UK despite being champions from the previous split coming into it. But I mean, now that that we can state some facts like that, Maxi, I'm unfortunately going to have to sadly point out that unlike at this stage of the competition last year, you and of course Rotterdam are now the only remaining Dutch university. Does that add more pressure to your performance on Sunday, do you feel? And also, do you feel like your fellow countrymen have sort of let you guys down?
I don't think so. I think we knew that this was going to happen. We played, but we had to qualify for this competition through the Dutch league, but we didn't. That was unfortunate, but we played with our sub most of the games. Like either I or Onko couldn't play most of the games, so we were 4th, and we choked the last day. And I mean, the only team that was unexpected for us that didn't make it further was Mojito's Fair Play. I think they were the best Dutch team to play besides us.
That's fair. And
them not going further was a shame. But I'm impressed by Tilburg, because Tilburg I think they played insane. They had an insane run this year.
Yeah. So. Back-to-back 4-0 sweeps, then took Bournemouth all the way to game 7. That's fair. You're right. They can certainly be proud of that. And okay, I'm wary of time though, Maxio, because of course before the paparazzi find you, I hear they've been hunting. I see that you are also a man of culture on this fine day in the Netherlands, and like everyone today, for some reason, you seem to be carrying around your predictions for final day. And what do those say? And most importantly, of course, why do you believe that they'll be the case?
I mean, I have to back my team up. True. I think we are going to go to the finals. I think we will meet Berlin Phoenix in the finals. I think they will sweep every team, and I think they will also win against us. They are just too good. They have Tigre, Gnekflo, and also Quint. Quint's also an insane player. He reminds me like I think he doesn't play a lot, so it reminds me of like our team situation. But I think that their team is better in general with Tigre and playing in RLCS as well,
it's
being
quite
top
hard to
4.
top that,
yeah. And I think, I mean, my teammates are great. Don't tell me wrong. They are like insane. But I think Tigre and Gnecflo are like just like I mean, they're not a tiny bit better. They're just better.
Yeah.
So, but I don't remember what I said.
That's fair.
In my prediction.
I'm curious that you have Berlin Basilisks beating Bournemouth Barracudas 4-2, despite the fact that Bournemouth have just won the NSE title domestically here in the UK. Is that just disrespect to Bournemouth, or you just really back the Basilisks?
I've like checked the on Wikipedia, and I saw that the group Berlin Basilisks played in was like I felt like they had like a tougher group.
It was tough,
and they had like a 5-2 run there, and I think their group was better than Bournemouth. So I just like based my prediction on that.
That's fair. I mean, it's fair to look at the consistency over the group stage. I don't think at this point here that the business end of the competition, the top 6, there's no real upsets anymore, unless, of course, Berlin Phoenix were to get slapped down. And to be fair, though, the chance of facing them, I assume you're excited to try and get sort of a chance at them. They may drop to lowers early. Of course, we can't confirm whether Nagflo will be there for the winners' finals. There's a chance that Portsmouth could maybe pull off the upset. But with that being said, do you also want to get your revenge on Portsmouth?
I do. I want to get my revenge on them. I felt like we could have won that series easily. So I mean, I hope to play them, because I think if we play Berlin Phoenix, we will lose and we will be third. Yeah. And if we win again, if we get to play against Portsmouth, we'll win and we'll get like second at least. Okay. But I don't know, because I think like the last time I played Berlin Phoenix, like one of their players couldn't play as well. I think it was Tigre back then, and then we won against them with back when we had Wizard in our team. So it's gonna be tough if Gnecflo isn't there, though. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's fair. It's all rumours along the wind here, and the only other series we haven't touched on is the fact that you're telling me you're going to go all the way to the final, hopefully, and I respect that confidence, and I could certainly see it happening. But while we're here, your next matchup and your first matchup on Sunday afternoon will be against the Salford Lions, and they're a very strong UK team that finished top domestically in league play. They fell in the grand finals, of course, to Bournemouth. I don't know how much you're familiar with or know about them, but you worried about that matchup at all, or do you think it's going to be easy clap?
I watched the series against who were they playing against Bournemouth. I think I watched them. I don't know if because I checked the Wikipedia and it saw that Aaron is their sub, but he played, I think, in that game.
He's been
not sure if
a few times in EURC. It's strange, yeah.
So I'm not sure if he because that's the only player I like know. So, but I didn't feel threatened when I watched it. It was a messy game, in my opinion. And if we play like how we played last week or like 2 weeks ago, and I've also been playing more, so I'm on like 40 hours now.
Oh my goodness!
I hope that we can like show that if we like grind the game, that we can like go to the finals again.
No, and of course, I think you're spot on there, hoping to fly the flag high for the Netherlands and seeing how deep that run can go. Of course, Mike Show, thank you very much for the interview. I don't want to let the paparazzi hunt you down, so I am going to have to run back to the studio. Of course, I'll have to get a ferry back as well, but thank you very much for the interview, and best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
A brief trip from the Netherlands to the fatherland, as we now find our room reporter in the centre of Germany.
Yes, Hemi. Well, I'm really just abusing the travel budget at this point, so I've whipped out the company car and drove along the Autobahn here to Berlin, where I was just enjoying a pretzel in front of Brandenburg Gate when I coincidentally found Yato of the Berlin Basilisks. How are you doing, Yato?
What up?
You are seeing been like for you as an experience, and what highlights have you had ahead of finals day?
I was also kind of surprised to see you on my daily stroll to the Brandenburger Gate. You know, that's what we do here in Berlin. We just go here every day and look for a white tail actor. But yeah, man, I'm good. Lots of real life stuff lately to do. That's why I can't play as much as I want to lately. But it's a good time nonetheless. To your URC question, to be honest, it's a blast for us. It's really amazing considering we weren't really prepared to play because we thought our season was kind of over after basically we placed 5th in the German playoffs, and kind of Kit gave up on their spot, and we could, slide in, take their spot, and just basically wing it, just see how far we can go, saw it as a bonus, still see it as a bonus.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I was just going to say, well, you've done really well despite that. You're the only team to have taken a game off of the Phoenixes after you beat both Dusseldorf and the Groningen Martinis in the upper bracket of playoffs. I mean, how was that Berlin Phoenix Series 2 play, and how much does that boost your confidence given that you got that game going into Championship Sunday?
I mean, I think everyone in the top 6 and probably everyone in this tourney is pretty competitive, but when you just win one game, it's not really a confidence boost, even if if it was against Phoenix. It is a small confidence boost though, because the one game we won was it was really solid. It was a banger game for us to play. We popped off, and there was just not a luck that we won. We just really out mechanicked them in that game, in that one game. And I think we've shown it in different games as well, that we can kind of hold up to their level at times. But just overall the strength of Nagflo, and especially Tigray, he's just so good at taking down your plays and reading what you do, because he's seen it all. He's played against the best players. He always knows what to do, and it's kind of difficult to play against. It's kind of difficult to get goals, because you really have to get those mechanical plays and really have to pop off. On the same time, being really solid in defense, it's really difficult to do. But
it's quite the ask.
Yeah, but it was fun. We were laughing 2/3 of the series, because we were also a little bit playing around and stuff. It was just fun for us to play. We had a good time.
No, it's good. And I mean, you've been looking good the whole tournament. You've played university competition from 5 different countries during your group stage in the tournament.
Yeah.
As a whole, you managed to come out strong and got 2nd in that Group D. Did any of the competition surprise you as stronger than you were expecting, or maybe even weaker than you were expected?
Yeah, I'm to the group phase. First of all, it was kind of sad for us that we placed 2nd, I think, because getting reverse swept against Portsmouth and losing to Salford 3-2 as well. We could have placed 1st, I think. Maybe would have had a better bracket then too, and not faced Phoenix in the semis, but in the final. But back to your question, I think actually what's disappointing me a little bit is probably the other German teams, actually.
Wow.
I wouldn't say FHDW. They did a really good job. They came far. I think no one really expected them, because they came to the qualifiers as well. So they did well, coming, I think, top 8. Is it 8?
Yeah, they did. You're right, top 8, yeah.
Yeah, and but what I'm referring to is Düsseldorf and Stuttgart as well. Stuttgart kind of unfortunate with Edgars, I think, getting the ban, so you can't really do a lot about that. But Düsseldorf let me down a bit. I think they could have gotten further in the lower bracket, and I think they can definitely play stronger, better together as a team as well. Maybe it was mentality issues for them, but I could have seen, honestly, both of them in the top 6 as well, Stuttgart and Düsseldorf, if it went any different.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, yourselves, though, you certainly no underperformance there. I think, you've been a bit of a dark horse for most of the competition. I mean, now that you're into the top 6, I mean, what do you think that you, Mocky and Sherma, really have or do that has gotten you to the Championship Sunday? As with, no necessarily like a standout player, people I feel like are only now waking up to just how much you guys have been slept on.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Not having a standout player. I think we're probably one of the most balanced team in this whole league, even in the German league as well. We're just kind of on the same level, all of us. And next to that, 100% mentality. As I said earlier, we've kind of saw this as a bonus, and we were never under pressure because of this dark horse role we had. We were always kind of feeling good, about winning or losing. We didn't really, had too much to lose, so that was just a big bonus, and it still is for us. I don't think I've watched that. I looked at the predictions, and I didn't really see a lot of people predicting us to go that far. So that's always a good thing for us to, prove them wrong. Probably, yeah.
Nah, it's got to feel good. I mean, the question is, can you do it even further? Because you'll be the opener on Sunday, the first game of the day. You'll be facing against who are now the UK champions. That's the Bournemouth Barracudas. I mean, how are you feeling about that series in terms of, like, you excited? Are you nervous? Bit of both? And, like, I see you there. As we are in front of Brandenburg Gate, you got your predictions, and they're looking fine there. Yeah. So, I mean, that series going onwards, how do you see the rest of the bracket going as well?
Yeah, I have them here, my sheet that I just printed out,
Yes.
Right before I accidentally met you. So, it's, the first game is probably going to be the hardest, to be honest. I think it's kind of reversed until the grand finals for us, the difficulty of the games. I think Barracudas are probably the most difficult team of them all. So I kind of, put us 4-3 ahead of them, because I think if we peak, if we still play with the same confidence we've played the whole tourney, we can beat them, even though I have no experience against them. So it's probably a little bit rough to decide right now, but we'll see how it plays out. And the second game is, I think, getting a little bit easier, because I think Rotterdam and Salford Lions are both a little bit, I won't say worse, definitely not worse, but they're playing different than the Barracudas. We've played the Salford Lions, and they're a really, really good team. We lost to them already, so I can't,
So you want to get revenge over them?
Yeah,
and
definitely. They're all really good players, and that's why I put them over Rotterdam as well, and put us over Lions in the end to get the revenge. And
double revenge.
Yeah, and in the upper finals, I have to pull up the predictions here again. In the finals, I put up Phoenix 4-0 against Paladins, because I just think they are too strong. I just think if they don't play around, which they probably won't do in the finals, in the winners finals, they'll just 4-0 them. I don't see Paladins winning against.
There's definitely the rumors, and there's definitely a chance that the Berlin Phoenix will be without Nagflow, at least for the winners finals. Maybe they will play with Hyrule instead of Nagflow. They themselves, I don't know. Well, of course, I'll be heading to see if I can find Quint around the city of Berlin after this interview. But I'm not sure. There's definitely a rumor that Nagflow might not be playing, so I don't know if that throws a spanner in the works of your predictions.
Yeah, that does change things a little bit. Not gonna lie, I think if Hyrule is playing for Nagflow, obviously Hyrule, really good player as well. He's also, if you didn't know, replacing me next season in the Basilisk, because I'm taking a step back. I'm concentrating on real life and stuff. Getting an internship, which it's also nice. It's gonna be fun. But back to Rocket League, he's a really good player. I think he will do with Sherman and Maki as well good next season. Like he will play a good role. But obviously, if you have Nagflow, who's just, we realized it, all of us from Basilisk when we played them. He's just always challenging. He's giving you no time. He's doing the first thing that comes to his mind. He's just doing it, and he's doing it really well.
Yeah, and you have to deal with it.
He's insanely good with shooting. I think he has the most goals still in Uni League in this URC season. In the last URC season, he's always got it, the most goals. He's just scoring tons of goals every time. So I think that will be hard to replace. So I think Phoenix would still take it 4-2. But I think they would actually, if it was different for the grand final, or is it confirmed that Hyrule can't?
We don't have confirmation, and we also don't know for how long it may be. It may just be for the winners' final. It may be for longer. It's all a mystery up in the air.
I guess I'm just sticking with this then. But maybe Phoenix is going to lose 1 or 2 games then if Hyrule's playing. But I think they will still come out as the winner. Yeah, and after, I think we will beat the Paladins this time.
All right.
I don't think we'll do the same mistake again and get everywhere swept. Hopefully not. You can never tell. But yeah, that's what I've predicted. And for the finals, I think we will play even better, take the momentum with us, put on a good show, and maybe take even 2 or 3 games of Phoenix. I've put in 2 now, but I don't think it'll be enough to get them to the bracket reset grand final.
Good. Well, I hope you go all the way to get to that grand finals. And what a story it really would be. Sort of just, joining the podium there, saying that it's not just Berlin Phoenix flying the flag for Germany, it's both universities from Berlin. It's actually fantastic here. The city is beautiful. I should really let you enjoy your walk around Brandenburg Gate, as you did, as you say, accidentally run into me. I'll go and see if I can find Quint around this lovely place, and I'll let you enjoy this lovely day.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thank you.
I will see you around. Good evening.
Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye.
I've just been given word that our man with a plan, Talacto, has found himself in an underground bunker listening to heavy German techno music surrounded by millions upon millions of sweaty individuals. His average Tuesday. Over to you, Steve.
Can someone turn the music down, please? Thank you. Thank you. Indeed, Hemi, I'm really enjoying my time here in the great city of Berlin for our final interview of the night as well. Home of the tournament favourites, Berlin Phoenix, where coincidentally I was just enjoying this nightclub when I bumped into Quint of the Phoenixes. How are you doing on this fine evening? And how do you feel about the rumours that I'm hearing going around that Nagflow may not be available for the winners' final on Sunday against Portsmouth?
I'm doing pretty good, Tylacto. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Gnafla has a tight schedule this weekend. Nitro League finals are coming up, and I heard he was gonna go for a deep run. But I'm not worried. We have an incredibly talented sub, which we will use if needed. But I think Gnak has everything sorted out at the moment.
All right, that's perfectly good. And it's interesting. I mean, it's fair to say you've really slaughtered much of the competition so far in EURC, having a flawless record in Group A and running through the upper bracket in playoffs. But I do remember you saying earlier in the tournament after one of your matches that you guys didn't want to drop a single game. And yet in that semi-final, the Basilisks were able to take one off you in the best of 7. Was that credit to them, or more, do you think, a slip up from you guys? And what's the relationship with them, like in terms of friendly or a rivalry, given that right now they are the only other remaining German university in the competition?
Yeah, I kind of ruined that flawless record a bit. I changed my boost and arrow controls a week prior to the Berlin versus Berlin game, so I messed up a lot of muscle memory, which is why I couldn't really perform at all in the semis. So yeah, I guess you could blame that game on me. But talking about the Basilisks, they're extremely strong, stronger than I expected, and I'm super glad that they made it this far. All of them are my friends, and I only wish for the best, and hopefully a Berlin versus Berlin final again.
All right, that's interesting. You're sort of drinking away the pain of that, dropping that game in the competition here in this fine nightclub. I respect that. I also remember you mentioning you knew of Rotterdam more so than any other team in the competition at that point. But I mean, I've travelled all the way here. I will remind you that 3 of the remaining 6 universities in the competition for Grand Final Sunday, they are British. And are you worried about those at all now that we're approaching Championship Sunday, of course? And in general, what are your feelings regards to predictions for each series, given that, I mean, your first, that winners final will be against the Portsmouth Paladins?
I mean, we have already seen 2 of the best British teams play against us, and yeah, we all know what happened there, so I'm not too scared of the British teams in general.
Wow.
My prediction for the rest of the bracket is actually pretty simple. We're definitely winning this.
Okay.
Now, we have the question, who's gonna face us? I think we will probably face our German mates in the grand final. If they play like they did against us, there is absolutely no doubt they will make it far in the tournament. I am super hyped to see how Championship Sunday will turn out.
I mean, it's a fantastic. You've got Berlin Basilisk beating out Bournemouth, then Rotterdam, then Portsmouth in back-to-back Game 7s. And yeah, of course, nobody in all the predictions we've seen so far, Quint, have had you guys losing out in the grand finals. One had a bracket reset if Portsmouth won that winners final, but it doesn't get any closer than that. Currently unanimously predicted to win the competition, and you're here in this nightclub celebrating in advance.
Of course, I am already celebrating. I am already spending the money, which is it's helpful, and I'm just having fun here. Honestly, it's a great nightclub. Berlin is the best place to go to nightclub.
It's like almost as if COVID doesn't exist. I mean, it's just fantastic. Honestly, I have to respect the confidence coming out of you and all the guys there. Looking forward to seeing you play on Sunday. And I think that's a fantastic interview to round out the night. But unfortunately, that does mean that we have to come home to England and I'm going to have to go see Hemi again. So I'll drink the sorrows away and thank you very much for joining us for this interview, Quinn.
No problem.
Well, that just about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all very, very much for listening and tuning in. I've had an amazing time making this one. Be sure, April 25th, still Sunday, to tune in to see the EURC Championship final day. We will see the crown be placed upon the heads of some team in Europe as they win the thing. Anyways, thank you all very much for listening, and enjoy the forthcoming festivities, I guess.